Well, hey, Dave Melinda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you this week. I have a question for you. I actually have two, and I'm trying to decide which one is going to be more helpful. So I'm going to start with one, and then I'll ask the other one later. But I want to ask you a question about your clients. And we hear a lot about clients for a lifetime. We hear about client migration. We hear about that. And I want to know from you, just thinking about it, where are you in that? Do you have more clients that, churn regularly, or do you have more clients that last a lifetime? And I
That,
found somebody that really is going to help us find ways to have clients for a lifetime. And so I'm honored to be hanging out with Vance Morris. How are you today, my friend?
I'm fantastic, and the crowd goes wild.
Absolutely. You're a founder of a company called Deliver Service Now Institute. So fill us in, Vance. What is Deliver Service Now Institute all about?
Sure, it's where business owners or professionals come to really be decommoditized, if that's a word,
Sure.
because we're all viewed as commodities in the marketplace. I mean, a dentist is a dentist is a dentist. It's only so
Yep.
many ways you can clean teeth. So, what separates one from another? And it's really the experience that they offer. And once you start to improve your experience and provide experiences that can't be gotten anywhere else, now you start to have those clients for life. And you also start to have what I call price elasticity. You
Okay.
start to be able to charge more because of the experience you're offering.
Well, and the research shows if I might have to sneeze here, so forgive me if I do. But the research kind of shows that like two-thirds, roughly in that range, two-thirds of people will pay more for a better experience. And I don't
It,
know if you've seen that in your experience as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely over half. I've heard similar stats, but the one that sticks out of my brain is
Yeah.
that 10% of the population will pay more than 31% higher prices just to get a better experience. So
Wow.
you got carpet cleaner A is charged, has got a average experience or no experience. They just kind of come in, do their thing and leave. And then
Right.
you've got carpet cleaner B who is, got just this completely scripted, oh my God, over the top experience. That
Yeah.
carpet cleaner B can command a price over 30% higher than the guy below, even if they clean carpet the same way.
Wow, that's great. Well, and I think a lot of people listening right now, Vance, kind of like hit a wall when they think about their own business internally. What can we do to do better? Take that carpet cleaning person or that dentist, they're wondering, what can I do better? And they look at everything from their perspective. A lot of times they don't ask their client, even fewer times they ask people like you. Is that kind of where you guys come in then? If I was, that carpet cleaner and I wanted to elevate my experience. Where do you fit into that equation?
That's exactly where I fit in is people call me. Uh, a lot of times they have a leaky bucket, so they have a lot of churn. Their clients aren't staying with them. That's usually the big one. I mean, unfortunately, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, my customer service really sucks. I should call Vance. That conversation, it's just not happening with
That's
anybody.
not happening. Come on. How do you
Yeah, I know.
we got
It
to
should
change
happen
that.
more frequently, but
Exactly.
um,
Exactly.
so I look at it from a retention point of view when I'm talking to folks and really showing them how to improve their retention, and you do that by improving the experience, so they kind of get it on the back end. But it really is. I mean, if you went to Disney today and we went to one of the parks, 80% of the people that are there right now have been there before.
Okay.
80%. I mean,
Wow.
we would all love an 80% retention rate.
Right.
So I feel if that metric or that ratio of existing customers and they only have 20% new, if it's good enough for Disney, it's good enough for me. So when I'm coaching, or even in my own businesses. I own three home service businesses here in Maryland. My goal is 80% complete. I've got them, I've had them, they're a repeat customer, and 20% is new. And to me, that's a great ratio because you're growing profitably. Getting a
Sure.
new customer is really expensive,
Yeah.
but keeping a customer is relatively inexpensive. Just real quick, so one of my home service businesses cost me $126 to get a new customer
Okay.
in the front door. That's ads and the guy answering the phone and everything. It only costs me $22 a year to keep them. So
Mm,
the minute we serve them a second time, I'm $100 more profitable.
right. Wow. Well, and I think you bring up something, you brought it up twice, so I want to kind of look at that because I think a lot of times people miss this, the cost of customer acquisition. I mean, you have it down to $1, and it must be a retail where there's a high, there's a high volume of people. Some of these businesses where it takes a year to get a customer, and you get one, two, maybe three new ones a year, something like
Mhm.
that. That customer acquisition cost has got to be skyrocket in comparison to your 126. I mean, do you
Yeah.
guys talk about that with your clients about, hey, what
Yep.
does it really cost to get that? How do is there a simple formula that we could utilize just for our own idea moving forward?
Yeah, so certainly the basic one would be to take your marketing costs and divide it by the number of new customers that you have coming in, and you'll get pretty close to an exact number. I mean, you can factor in if you've got a customer service rep that answers the phone, if you want to factor in their salary, fine. But if you just took your marketing costs, divide it by the number of new people, new customers that you have, you'll know exactly how much you're paying to get a new customer in the front door.
What about like business development people, customer service departments? I mean, how do you figure that? Because, if people, I'm guessing, there are people that don't spend a ton on marketing, so they have this kind of misnomer that it's like you said, like $100 to get a customer. That's pretty low. I mean, I have clients where it's
Yep.
in the thousands of dollars to get a
Yep.
new client. So how do you add in like those people that the time and salaries and all that
Yeah,
ancillary stuff?
certainly, especially if you have a sales team and their job is to go out and get new business, then I would certainly be taking those salaries and using a similar equation, take those salaries, divide it by the new, let's just say that, somebody makes 100 grand a year and they get 10 new clients.
Yep.
Well, each one of those clients costs $10,000 to come in.
Perfect.
So I mean, I'm
Yep.
using round numbers because I'm not
Sure.
great
Yep.
with math, but
Yep. Yeah, no, and I think that's really, I think those are probably more realistic costs, depending obviously on your business. It
for
doesn't
sure.
cost $10,000 to get a new person into your laundromat or your coffee shop, but it might take $10,000 to get you into, custom home builder or, something in that nature there.
Yeah, certainly.
Um, and you mentioned Disney and you worked there for a bunch of years. So kind of take us back if you can in that, Vance, because it feels like that's where you really got exposed to how to improve that customer experience. So, what are some things that we can glean from your experience at Disney? What were some of your key takeaways there?
Sure. The first biggest key takeaway was that Disney runs on processes and systems. Um, and I know I was on the opening team of the Yacht and Beach Club Resort down in Orlando, and this was in the 90s, so it was before everybody had a phone in their hand and laptops
Yeah.
and everything. So we still did everything on paper. And we walked into the training room, and there's just stacks and stacks of 3-inch ring binders everywhere. And I asked my boss, I said, what's all this? He goes, well, these are all of the SOPs and OJTs for how to open and operate a Disney resort. I mean, I was just blown away. I mean, everybody had a binder.
Sure.
Busboy in the restaurant has a binder. The valet parking the car has a binder. Everybody. And I said, isn't this a little overkill, or isn't this, stifling for the employee? And he goes, no, it's actually the complete opposite. Systems and processes give you freedom. So if we look at it from an employee's point of view, if you learn the company's system and process and you know it, and it's just like reflexive muscle memory, you're doing it by rote, you now
Yeah.
actually have the capacity in your brain to do all of the nice things that Disney is known for, doing the autographs or taking the family photo and things like that. You put that into a business, one of ours or mine,
Yeah. Sure.
systems give you freedom.
Wow. So systems and processes were created before the actual experience even existed. I mean, that was what created the experience. How, but to your point though, how do you find, I mean, there are certain personalities that aren't necessarily super excited to just go to page 34, paragraph C, and it'll tell you what to do.
Sure.
How did you kind of balance that out? Because I'm sure there are a lot of people that love to think on their feet, they love to improvise. How do you balance that?
Yeah. Well, the if you're doing your job and you're following the system, your brain has the capacity to do that improvisation. But if you hesitate with your job, or if you have to think about something, multiple times that you really shouldn't have to be thinking about, like carrying a tray in a restaurant. If you got to think about carrying a tray, well, you don't have any mental capacity to do anything else that would be above and beyond or a nice thing or a wow moment. However, if carrying the tray is just, oh, go in, grab it, go, and it's just part of your daily thing, now you can actually stand there with your tray and take a picture for somebody. It gives your brain
Sure.
um, spare capacity to do other things.
Gotcha. So are we looking for wow moments? I mean, you brought that up. I'm just curious, is that like a an expectation of Disney in that when you were there, and then now for you and your institute, is that kind of wow moments are that almost feels like that's just like the threshold to get in. Most people think that's way up here, but that's almost kind of like just the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, the bar is set very low right now. You go
Sure.
into most, businesses, and you're lucky if somebody says hello. And so the bar is set real low. So exceeding the bar and actually standing out
Yeah.
is really easy to do. Just by, greeting each and every guest that comes into your store, or answering the phone in one ring instead of 10. Those are just easy ways to get above the bar and be different.
Sure.
The wow moments come in when you actually have all of your systems and processes done. Because if you don't do a great job with the thing it is that you sell, whether it be your service or your product, and you try to add a wow moment to it, all you're doing is accentuating the fact that your product sucks, for
Mm,
lack of a better word. So you got to know your stuff. You got to be able to deliver your product consistently and, you know, almost flawlessly. Now you can add the nice things. So what I recommend to business owners is you map out your customer journey. Take every point where the customer interacts either with your business or with your product, and look at it from the customer's point of view. So, what's the first point of contact you have with a customer? Is it your website? Is it a phone call? Is it you walk into, a showroom? What is that first step? And you map out the entire thing all the way to the end of the journey. Then you look at those and you say, okay, where can we make the most impact? So you prioritize. Where can we make the most impact? One, on the guest experience, and two, on profitability. So if we fix this one thing, the guests are going to have a heck of a lot better experience and we're going to be more profitable. So, but going through the exercise of mapping out your customer journey is, some people will say it's tedious, but it is, it's necessary. It's mission critical if you want to fix things.
sure. Well, and I'm guessing that when you talk about mapping out your customer's journey, does it help to ask your customer? I mean, are they interacting in this in an ideal situation? Because I feel like we could have some big blind spots. I'm
Right.
working on my next book about business blind spots, and it's crazy because a lot of companies say our customer experience is fine, and nothing could be further from the truth. They think they're Disney when in reality they're
Right.
kind of the opposite. So, where does the customer, how do you get the customer engaged and involved in this?
So that's a great question. And the mapping process really shouldn't involve the customer yet. Because,
Okay.
well, one, you don't want to show your dirty laundry if you're, so it's,
Sure.
so, but you're really literally looking at the point, not exactly the how you do it or the why you're doing it that way, but the what.
Okay.
So customer calls, boom, that's a touch point.
Yep.
What's the next thing? Customer visits showroom. Great. What's the next thing? Customer waits for a proposal. Great. What's the next thing? So it's all from the customer's point of view. We're not saying how we're doing it yet.
Yeah.
And that's actually the next step is once you have it mapped out, now you say, okay, here's how we do it right now. How do we answer the phone? Thank you for calling Dave's Insurance. How can I help you? Well, that's boring.
Sure.
That's the first point of contact? Is that a point in the customer journey that we want to improve or be different or create an experience out of it? Um, if it's yes, then okay, great. How do we
Sure.
answer the telephone?
Sure.
I worked with a group of insurance agents once, and this guy, huge rock and roll fanatic insurance guy. I mean, he had gold records on the wall, autographed guitars, Led Zeppelin posters, the whole nine yards. And we did a team meeting and did some brainstorming, and we realized that answering the phone was a top priority for them. And they needed to be able to stand out from all of the other. He was an Allstate agent, so there was like nine Allstate agents in his area, plus all of
Okay.
the other guys. He's like,
Sure.
"How do I stand out?" And his receptionist actually came up with the way to answer the phone. And it goes something like, the original one was, thank you for calling Dave's Insurance. How can I help you? We've all heard that somewhere. Now they answer the phone. Thank you for calling Dave's Insurance, the agency that rocks. Now, it sounds a little corny the first 13 times you say it, but once you start saying it, and remember, this was a hourly employee's idea. What didn't come
Sure.
from the guy.
Sure.
Um, and so if you think about your marketing, it's designed to do two things: attract the people you want to do business with and repel the people you don't. And just
Yeah.
by answering the phone that way, they're sifting, sorting, and screening out anybody who would make a bad client.
Wow. Well, those are five really important words that I think people really need to take hold of is, how do I stand out? Because that is really, and if you can't answer that, we talk about Midwest Express a lot. There used to be a Midwest-based airline that was owned by Kimberly Clark here in Wisconsin, and they were flying their employees around, and all the planes had all first class leather seats. There were no coach. There was nothing. It was all first class. And they were flying people around the country, Vance, and they realized they're like, we should fill these seats with, people paying. So they created Midwest Express and pre-COVID and pre all this 9/11 stuff. It was, you would literally get you know, a great meal on china, crystal glasses, champagne. I mean, it was like top service at the pretty close to the same price.
Right.
And unfortunately another airline bought them, and then they stopped doing that. But about 20 minutes before you were landing, you're sitting there after a nice meal, they would walk around with a hot towel, but then all of a sudden you smelled something, and it was like, boy, I smell chocolate chip cookies. And sure enough, they would make chocolate chip cookies, and they would walk around and hand them out just as you were landing. And I always ask my clients when we talk about this, it's like, you can say, how do you stand out? For me, it's like, what's your cookie? What are you doing that nobody else is doing? And if
Yep.
you run into somebody, Vance, that can't answer that question, where do you go next? Because that's got to be a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, we lean a lot into the personality of the owner or the CEO, and try to find something within their personality or within their world that will help them stand out. A quick example, and this is one that she's like my poster child. She's a dentist, and dentists, like I said earlier, highly commoditized.
Mhm.
And she was just killing herself, medical insurance. She has all these employees that she doesn't want. Um, and so we decided that she was going to go private pay, so get rid of insurance. And she was going to focus solely on children. So she was going to be a pediatric dentist. So now we're niching down a little
Sure,
bit.
sure.
And I
Yep.
said, okay, well, we still need something that's going to separate you because there's still pediatric dentists everywhere. And I just off the cuff asked her, I said, what's your favorite movie? And she said, Peter Pan. I said, okay, well, what do you think about bringing some Peter Pan into it? And the light bulb went off on her over her head. I mean, I literally could see it. She goes, I'm going to be the pirate dentist. She now dresses like Captain Hook.
Oh
Her
boy.
little dental assistants look like little Mr. Smees, and they walk around the office saying "arg." Um, she she's got a wait list out the wazoo. I mean, and people don't leave her literally until they turn 18 and then they boot them
Sure.
out.
Yeah.
She was immediately $250,000 ish more profitable because she got rid of the two people in her business that were just doing insurance billing.
Oh
That's all they did
gosh.
was billing.
Yeah.
So as soon as she got rid of the insurance, one, she's more profitable because she could charge higher prices, and she was able to cut two and a half staff members to be able to
Sure.
realize that profit on the end. So
Sure.
when you're looking, you have to look at the business holistically. Obviously, is okay. Where can we fit in? What do I like to do? I mean, are you a fisherman? Okay, well, great. Maybe you don't redesign your office and make it look like a pirate or Neverland, but you're the fisherman dentist. Okay, great. You come in wearing the vest with the little fly thingies hanging off of it.
Sure.
Do you have pictures of you standing in the river, in your waiting room, or is it
Yeah.
just a beige wall?
Sure.
You know?
Wow. Well, and that's where again, I think it's hard for people to kind of think outside that box and really, grasp it. We seem to be so busy trying to make payroll, trying to find our next sale, trying to keep the team intact, trying to hire that next person, buy the next truck, whatever. So, I want to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about your magic approach because I think there's some real good stuff there. So we'll be right back. Welcome back. Honored to be hanging out with Vance Morris, the founder of Deliver Service Now Institute. So, before we get into your magic piece, I just want to ask you because there's so many people listening right now, Vance, that want to know. So, you worked in corporate America. How did you transition into owning your own business? People really love to
Yeah.
hear that story.
Yeah. So after I left Disney, and I am living proof that you can leave that company and still survive, I had a couple of other corporate jobs in the hospitality world. And along the way, I started to realize I make a lousy employee. I just don't like to be told what to do. Hence, probably my two ex-wives. It's just not a good place for me.
Sure.
So I got fired from one job because the boss asked me, about something, and of course I have no filter, so I told him. He didn't like it, so they let me go. And same thing with the next job. It was one of those. Well, why are we doing it this way? We should do it that way. And he was an idiot, and I was like, forget that. We're not doing this. And anyway, I got fired from that job. And I said, well, I can't get fired anymore. This is just ridiculous. And I don't like being told what to do. So what do I do? So I start my own business. Luckily, I had 6 months of severance pay because the way they terminated me was against the rules or the law or something. So I nice 6 months package.
Sure.
Um, so I wanted to start a restaurant. But most of the restaurant concepts that I was looking at required $2 million liquid cash. And well, I just didn't have that laying around.
Sure.
So I said, well, let me lower my expectations. What kind of business can I start? Um, and I was working actually with a headhunter, business headhunter and franchise headhunter. And he kept bringing up this carpet cleaning concept. And I was like, I'm not cleaning carpet. I barely vacuum. And you want me to clean carpet? But they had a great process, they had a great system. And it kept coming up. So I signed up to start a carpet cleaning company here in Maryland. The thing that I did do smartly was we solely targeted affluent clients.
Hmm.
I, while we did get, some, single wide trailers with the three-legged dog running around out front. Yes, they deserve clean carpet, but I didn't want to be the one doing it.
Sure.
We started with our pricing and with our marketing. We were for the affluent client. We were for homeowners, not renters. And that is really what kept us going is that because I started my business in '07. So what happened in '08? Everything
Yep.
blew up, you know. Um, but the affluent still had money, right? I mean, maybe not, as many commas and zeros in the bank account as they had before, but they still had a lot of money. So that's what saw me through that rough period was the
Sure.
fact that I wasn't targeting middle class. And there's nothing, I mean, I'm a middle class guy, but I'm not my client. I think that's important for a lot of businesses is, you're not your perfect client. Your perfect client might be somebody who's two economic stratuses above you.
Sure.
Um, and so that served me well, and we slowly added on another business, which was Oriental rug washing, and then we added on another business, which was complementary to those two, which is mold remediation. So I was
Hmm.
able to use my existing customer base and market to them. Remember,
Sure.
it's cheaper to keep your customers and sell to them than it is to get new ones. So we went right to them with each of these new offerings. And I probably 5, 6 years into it, people started asking me, you don't look like you're working too hard. How are you doing all this? So I started coaching and consulting like
Sure.
2012.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, and I'm curious because um people can think about did you have this passion for being an entrepreneur when you were a kid, or was it something that kind of developed over time? What was your kind of mental status like at Disney? Were you thinking this was a stepping stone to eventually owning something, or were you at that time content being in corporate?
No, so I mean, I've always been a hustler, in the good sense of the word, not not bad. So I mean, I had a newspaper route,
Sure.
and 14 years old, I learned very quickly that if you took care of your customer, you made more money. So if
Sure.
Mrs. McGillicuddy wanted her paper between the screen door and the storm door, well, by golly, that's where I put it. If you want it rubber banded, I rubber banded it. If you want it in a bag, I put it in a bag. And I realized that when I was able to deliver what the customers were asking for, I got paid really well. So, my tips were higher, et cetera.
Sure.
And that's really how, I mean, I just did that until I got to Disney. And I got to Disney at a really good time in that company because it was a huge growth period. It was during Michael Eisner's reign. And they had just opened up Disney Hollywood Studios or MGM Studios. They were opening up new resorts, and then they had this Animal Kingdom project that was getting underway. So I was able to use a lot of, you needed to be entrepreneurial there to be successful in this
Sure.
opening environment. You needed to be able to say, okay, this isn't working, we need to do this, or this isn't working, we need to do that. And I loved the first 7 years I was with the company. Then it came time to just maintain. Like, okay, we got this thing built. Now we need to run it.
Yeah.
That ain't me. It's just that ain't. I'm a builder. I'll create
Yep.
it, but I don't want to stick around and run the thing.
Sure.
Which is why I have a general manager that runs my home service businesses now, because
Yep.
it would drive me batty if I had to do that on a daily basis. So,
Sure. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's really helpful. And to understand and know your strengths and your weaknesses, I think as you grow in an entrepreneurship as a listener here, that's a really great thing is, farm out the stuff you're not good at as you can and, keep the stuff that you're good at
yeah,
because it'll definitely keep you engaged a lot longer. Um, I'm just
100%.
I'm just curious because like somebody's listening right now and they're thinking, I can't afford to, listen to my customer. I can't afford to stop the production and put a rubber band on that paper. And I can't afford to put that paper in between the screen door and the storm door. How do you help people understand that profit is, it's really a lot tighter rate related to that experience than they think it is?
Yeah, and I will tell them one, their competitor, while they might be in your rear view mirror now, is going to pass you because they're going to figure out that it's time for the baggie or the rubber band, and they're going to
Sure.
surpass you.
Yep.
Um, and the fact that if you do the rubber band and the baggie, to continue on with this theme,
Sure.
you now have price elasticity. You can charge more because you are doing the rubber band and the baggie.
Okay.
Um, and it's the same thing. I mean, some of the easier things for businesses to actually latch onto and get that price elasticity are warranties and guarantees. They don't cost you anything until they get redeemed. So you
Right.
can increase your price, offer a warranty, offer a guarantee, and now your increased price is going to cover the one time somebody, tries to redeem it,
Yeah.
and the rest of it is profit.
Sure. So, like in your carpet cleaning business, Vance, is that something where, again, how do you turn that guarantee or warranty thing into how does that real world look for your
Oh,
business?
sure. So we have packages that we offer. In our basic package, it's just cleaning, and there are no warranty. Actually, we have our whoopsie warranty, which is if we clean today, if in the next 5 days you knock over a glass of chocolate milk, we know life happens. Give us a buzz, we'll come back and we'll clean up that spot, no charge.
Gotcha.
Now, our second tier package is where we reapply stain resistance. We offer a 14-day whoopsie warranty, and we offer a 1 year guarantee, no permanent stains, because we
Mm,
have added the stain resistance, and so we know that our product works. And so we're able to charge more not only for the additional product, but for the additional extended warranty and guarantee.
sure.
Um, it just takes a little bit of thinking on, and everybody can, people say, oh, I'm a financial advisor. I can't guarantee anything.
Yeah,
It's against the law or against the rules. Well, can you guarantee that you're going to be on time?
sure.
Dentist, oh my God, a doctor. Wouldn't that be a great guarantee if the doctor saw you at the time he said he was going to see you?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Somehow they get a little more mad when we don't show up on time. If I tell my doctor, hey man, got tied up with another doctor, they don't care. They go on to the next.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it would be great if it's both ways, for sure. But I think it's kind of a mindset thing though, that like, because a lot of the things you talked about, I'll come back within 5 days, I'll come back within 14 days, I'll come back within 1 year. There are people that just cost me money. And it's crazy. I don't know what the actual numbers are, but it feels like about 95 to 98% of society doesn't want to take advantage of you. People feel like they can't give you a warranty or added value because they're going to be like taken advantage of. It feels like it's such in the minority where people will take advantage of you. And I just was curious at Deliver Service Now Institute, is that kind of what you see, that most people aren't out there to take advantage of somebody, they just want what's owed
They
to them?
really aren't. I mean, it's the 0.001% of society that is going to do that. And one of the ways to get around that is, well, get better clients to begin with. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Ones that aren't going to do that, ones that truly value your service, value the experience you're delivering. And if they legitimately have a problem with the product or service and you offer a warranty or guarantee, you will cheerfully go out and fix whatever it is needs to be fixed. I actually got one of my best Google reviews from somebody who, reached out about a warranty cleaning. And they thought, oh my God, they're not going to honor this. It's been 9 months. They're not coming back out. We went back out and we saw what the problem was. We corrected the problem and we got an incredible review. I can count though in 10 years 11 years that we've been offering the warranty, I can count on one hand the number of times it's been redeemed.
Yeah. And
So
that's,
you're absolutely right. People, there are very few people out there, I mean, unless you're offering like, T-bone steaks or something, I could see that getting taken
right.
advantage of.
Yeah,
But most
exactly.
of us, we don't have to worry about it.
No, absolutely. And I think that tell me about your systematic magic approach, because I really think that as we start to land the plane today, I think that's a great spot to kind of end on. So fill us in on what that is.
Sure. So it comes from both my time at Disney, hence the word magic, and my time throughout the other 15 years of business, plus my uh, time working in my own businesses, and really boiled it down to kind of seven, I call them magic keys, but seven areas that if you focus on these seven areas, you will have a successful business. One of them is all about the details and having a fanatical attention to the details in your business. For example, well, let me also preface this with um, every detail in your business is either enhancing or detracting from the experience. There is no middle ground. So if you
Sure,
have a dusty house plant in your waiting room, well, that's detracting from the experience.
sure.
I mean, we're a carpet cleaning company or a cleaning company. If
Yeah,
we went out with dirty vans or dirty trucks, well, geez, that's not very congruent. We're out to clean stuff. We can't even clean our own stuff. So really having those, whatever details are important in your world, focusing
sure,
on those.
sure.
Um, I don't do a lot with leadership and employees, but I know this. If your employees are not having a great experience, there's no way they are going to deliver a great experience to your customers or guests.
Yep,
It's not going to happen.
yep,
So you do have to provide a great employee experience. Now, does that mean you have to coddle them and all that? No. But do you listen to them? Do you say happy birthday on their birthday? Because we all know it because they filled out the government forms.
yep,
Do we give constructive feedback privately? Do we praise them publicly? All of the golden rule stuff that grandma taught us is really the basics of how I treat my employees. Um, so there's that piece. There's certainly process. One of the magic keys is process and mapping out. So it starts with your customer journey. And then, what do you do at each point of that? Um, and then there is the environment is one of the keys. And I'm not talking about Greenpeace or forests or anything like that, but I'm talking
sure,
about your sales or service environment. Is it conducive to service or is it conducive to sales? You do not want to have a sales prevention department. There are things that business owners do this all the time. They put stuff in the way. They think it's going to speed things up or it's more
sure.
convenient for the business, but you're putting all of that stuff now on the customer. So
Yep.
now you have things in the way. It's like, why do I have to fill out the same form, or why does the three different people in the office have to ask me the same question? I
Yeah.
told it to the first person. They put it in the computer. Seemingly, you would think that my answer would just travel from one computer to the next and nobody'd
Sure.
have to ask me again. Now,
Right.
I mean, is it a killer? No. Is it an annoyance? Yes.
Yep.
But if that's the only thing that happened bad, okay, fine. I'll live with it. But if you have 6 or 7 annoyances pile up in one interaction, well, now you're irritated, you're mad. And like I
Yep.
said, mad people don't buy. They don't. They walk out and they leave.
Yep. Wow. I think so. The environment is interesting because I had a client that had a showroom and we were doing customer experience training. And during the break, I walked down there and I found like 4 hindrances to buying.
Mhm.
No out of state checks, no returns on clearance items. There was 2 others. One was like we can't take back anything that's been custom made. There were all these barriers to buy, and I put them up on the screen for the client to see, and he was flabbergasted to the point where he left the training and ripped them all out of his showroom. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it is the environment is it's got to be conducive to buying. Otherwise, we're going to go find somewhere
Yeah.
else. That's why
And there's positive ways to say all of that stuff, though.
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? So you don't have to put up the big red circle with a slash through it and, put a,
Yep.
you know, it's just there are better ways of saying that, or just not saying it at all. I mean, does it kill you to take a return on a discounted item?
Right. Yeah.
So what? Sell it again.
Why
What's
is
the
the clearance item not returnable, but something full price is returnable, right? It
Yeah,
just doesn't.
it's silliness.
I asked the guy, I'm like, when's the last time you guys took a check? And he's like, years. And I'm like, well, so there it is. I mean, they're either not buying because, especially when you get a lot of out of town people there, if they do have it, I mean, most people have a credit card. That's just what they use. So it was interesting to see the blind spots that they had and how easy it was to, kind of fix that environment. So that's awesome. Hey, a couple questions before I let you go, Vance.
Yeah.
First of all, what would your tip of the day be for somebody today? Maybe it's something that we covered, maybe it's something that we didn't, but what would your one thing be that people really need to walk away today with?
Yeah, it's implementation. That's just my answer to everything. I mean, you heard some great ideas. Well, I hope you heard some great ideas, and we dropped some good nuggets in this podcast for you. You'll probably hear something on another podcast, or you'll read something, but then nobody ever does anything with that stuff. Take
Yeah,
one thing that you heard today and go into your business and try it and implement it. You can't change unless you start doing things. And I don't have actually I only have one saying, and it's you won't profit unless you implement.
mm,
And there's a lot of
sure.
truth in that statement.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that's a great point. We do run into a lot of information on a daily basis. However, you gain reading, podcasting, whatever, however you gain your information, we all run across it so much. So, if somebody wanted to, if there's somebody listening right now, Vance, that's like, that's me. I don't even know if I can implement without some accountability. Is that where kind of Deliver Service Now Institute comes in? Would you come alongside people that were struggling with that implementation and help them with that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I have two different programs. One is kind of a group coaching program, which is nice because we have um, you know, different niches, different industries, and they're all on the same call. So we get a lot of differing points of view. And certainly then you also get my framework for doing everything. And then I also have one-on-one clients where I'll actually come to your place of business and work with you one-on-one on all of the stuff that we talked about today.
Gotcha. If people want to learn more about those or grab one of your 3 books that you wrote, what's the best way for people to connect with you, Vance?
Sure. Well, the website is really easy. VanceMorris.com is a
Okay.
great place to start. But I do have a hot sheet. If anybody wants, if they're not feeling creative, I created 52 ways to wow your customer without breaking the bank. So
Wow.
it's one wow a week for you, covers an entire year,
Awesome.
and you can get that at wow52ways.com.
Wow. 52, the number 52,
Yep.
ways.com. Wow. Can I take advantage of that one there,
Yeah, of
Vance?
course. Of
That's
course.
awesome. I want to read that. So again, for people listening, go to wow52ways.com and grab your free copy there, or go to vancemorris.com if you want to connect with Vance and do a deeper dive on this topic. I think it's one of the least talked about is customer experience. I'm glad you're in this space because there's not a lot of people that are talking about how to, you can charge more. People are going to refer you more often. They're going to come back more. I mean, there's really no downside to improving that customer experience. So, couple that with your time at Disney because they seem to be at an 80%. Like you said, everybody here on the call today would love to have an 80% retention rate
Hmm.
on clients as a lifetime client, not just every so often, but as a
Right.
true lifetime fan for life. That's awesome. So thank you again for everything you're doing in this space. Keep going forward, and I will let you know how I do on the 52 ways when I
Okay.
download.
Well, thanks so much for having me on, Dave. I appreciate it.